welcome back. It has been a couple weeks. I apologize. I've been struggling with some fatigue and some bad migraines the last couple weeks, and although I've been able to get some stuff done, I haven't really had it in me to film anything. So, yeah. But I thought, I'm not actually filming anything I'm doing per se today. I thought, well, I'll just do a catch-up video and to show you guys some of the things I have been doing since my last video. So just, keeping it really real, as I said I would with you guys. Ergo, I've not washed my hair yet. This is reality usually for me in the mornings. I do what I can. I usually find I have the most strength like in the morning, early afternoon. And so I try to capitalize on that. And the reality is oversized shirts of my husband's that are covered in cat hair because the cats take turns laying on me when I have to sit down. But yeah, and it's all good though. And it's okay. Just doing what you can, sitting down when you need to, and still enjoying every minute of that. So, all right. First thing I will show you, we'll probably spend some time downstairs in the pantry because I've been doing a fair amount of canning the last couple of weeks. Big preservation things right now are tomatoes, which are in full harvest mode. They're still pouring in. We've had some cool weather here the last couple days, so yeah, I'm hoping, I'm loving the cool weather, but I'm also hoping that it doesn't hinder the tomatoes, what else is on the vine from ripening out there. So we'll see how that goes, but we've already had a really good harvest, so I'm thankful for that. I can't complain. So first thing I'll show you is up here in the kitchen. Okay, this is my newest venture, which I'm very excited about. So one day this week, my husband and I were talking about beef tallow and making our own soap, our own face creams. My sisters had given me a tallow face cream for my birthday last year, and I really like it, but I know it's expensive. I'm like, well, can I make that myself? So I did some calling around at local butcher shops and, asking, okay, do you guys sell, just beef fat trimmings and specifically beef suet, which if I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, that this is the fat that's just around like the organs of the cow, kidneys and all that, which my understanding is that's better. It's to use for especially soaps and creams and stuff like that, although you can use any sort of beef fat trimmings. But anyway, long story short, I called several places, and one local place, they sold specifically suet, and it was really nice suet. There's maybe slightly one piece had some meat on it. I mean, they really did a good job, so there wasn't a lot of like gristle and leftover meat to have to worry about. But they sold it for $1.50 a pound, and so I went ahead and got 8 pounds, and I rendered down, I put it in my crock pot, I rendered it down, and I couldn't fit all 8 pounds in my crock pot. So my guess is I did 6 pounds, and I was literally just basing that off of what I felt was left in the bag, so maybe that's not quite accurate. But out of the 6 pounds, I got 2.5 quarts of tallow. I have the other quart in the other side of our kitchen right now that I'm just going to keep up here, and we're going to probably use for cooking and whatnot. But so this is the rendered tallow. I purified it with the water method. I did it twice, so it's really nice and white and pure. And then I went ahead and made it's not black beans. I reused lids. I made cream. This is just an all-body cream. Specifically, I wanted it for my face, but it's just literally tallow and olive oil, and then I put a lavender essential oil in it. So let me see if I can open this up for you. Give me a second. I think I'll try to balance my, yeah, there we go. I'll use this guy actually. And so I got all of this cream. Can you see this? I mean, it's just beautiful. Yeah, I'm super happy about this. I got all of this cream from 1 cup of melted tallow. So yeah, it really didn't take that much. And this is gonna, I mean, honestly, I don't put lotion all over all the time. Yeah, I just usually, specifically my face, I use it a lot. And so this is gonna last me a while, but honestly, I might start using it more in more places because it's easy to make. And okay, so the 8 pounds of suet cost me only $13, okay? And that's a lot, and I still haven't rendered all of it down. I mean, that's super cheap. So I was really excited about that. Not to mention, obviously, it's just good for you. It's better. I've heard some things with tallow, just even about the healing properties that they have and just how good it is for your skin. It does absorb really well into your skin. At least I find it does. Yeah, so that was the first thing I was going to show you guys. Super excited about that. And now I think we'll head downstairs, and instead of like stopping the camera, you can just kind of walk down with me. Oh, here is, I got to take care of these. There's the other beef tallow. This is what we're getting from the garden right now. We got tomatillas and banana peppers and jalapenos and, you know, all that good stuff. I did can a batch of tomatoes yesterday. So, let's see. Okay. So yeah, shelf is a lot more full than it was last time I did a pantry tour. So always very thankful for that, for the garden bounty that the Lord provides. This is, I picked these tomatoes yesterday or the day before yesterday. And I think I mentioned in my canning tomato video, which I can go ahead and link, is I do like, after I pick tomatoes, to let them sit here downstairs and to just really ripen well, so a rich red color, before I go ahead and can them. And one downside to that is obviously they're kind of ripening at different rates. Some are more red than others. So this last time, I mean, I needed to can sooner than I did. I just didn't have it in me. And so I did have to end up giving a few to the chickens, but again, I don't feel too bad because I'm giving them to the chickens. So they're at least getting repurposed in that way. Okay, so down here, from here to here, and I think I had maybe 8 of these already canned, but yesterday I canned 13 more quarts of just crushed tomatoes, which is my favorite way to can tomatoes because I feel like, for me, they're very versatile this way. I can use them in stews and sauces and, you know, what have you. I did, however, for the first time this year, can them in a couple different ways. So these are a couple things I did this last couple weeks. Let me get into position here. Okay, I did these 8 quarts of marinara. And it's not, I didn't use any sort of like package mix or something. I know you can buy, it's popular, I forget what it is, in the canning section, Mrs. Somebody or Others packing mix. I actually really enjoy making marinara myself. And I have kind of a recipe that I go off of, and then I just tweak it, you know, until it tastes right. For the most part, onion, garlic, you know, basil from the garden. I used basil salt too that I had made with basil from my garden, and sugar, and other spices. I'd have to look it up. Tomato paste, all that stuff. But anyway, so these are ready to go for, you know, any sort of, you know, spaghetti or any sort of pasta dish. This week, I'm wanting to make stuffed manicotti because I forget, was it Nathan that brought it up or was asking me about it? I can't remember, but all of a sudden it sounded really good, so I have to have it. So I'm probably going to be opening one of these guys for that this week or next week, sometime soon. It's coming in our future. It has to happen. That's how I feel. Anyway, so marinara, and then also I did salsa, and again, I didn't really follow a recipe. I kind of looked at a couple recipes and got an idea of, ratios and, of tomatoes to onions to, so I just basically, went with that whole whatever batch of tomatoes I had to can. I just tried to add a fair amount of onions in a ratio that I thought was pretty good according to one recipe. And then as far as peppers go, I added jalapenos, and I mostly added banana peppers because that's what I had to use up from my garden. And to be honest, I wasn't really paying that much attention. I think I did seed the jalapenos, but I did not seed the banana peppers. And these aren't sweet banana peppers. They're just regular banana peppers. They do have some kick to them. And yeah, so I just went ahead and put them all, just a rough chop, onions, and the, peeled and cored tomatoes, and I think some seasonings and jalapenos, whatever, into a stock pot and boiled them down till they were all soft. And then I took the immersion blender to them. I like chunky salsa too, but I really do like kind of more of a restaurant style salsa. So it's a little that more kind of a runny consistency where everything is a little bit more puree. I don't know, and I guess personal preference, and maybe even depending what you're using it for, but that's how I like it. So that's what I use the immersion blender for. And let me tell you, I love spicy things. Okay, especially the older I've gotten, I love, and it always reminds me of my mom's mom, my grandma. And I remember when she was little, she's like Spanish and Mexican and Native American. She loved spicy things. I remember her just taking a hot jalapeno pepper and throwing it on the open flame on the stove to sear it, and then just popping it in her mouth and her just eating them out of the jar or whatever. And I'm not far from that, honestly. I really do like spicy things. So let's just say it was hot. It had a kick. It was hot. It's something, at least I would even call it hot. And I didn't honestly mean to make it that hot. Like I said, I wasn't really paying attention to my pepper portion. I was just throwing them in there. And I always tend to run things a little bit too hot. But my husband's a good sport, and he's starting to develop a liking for hotter things too. So that's good. But what I did, because it was such a big pot, I have, 5 quarts, and then 5 pints from the same batch of salsa. It was such a big pot that I'm like, okay, do I really want all of it to be that spicy? So I'm like, what am I going to do? So I came down here, and when I did my pantry tour, which I can link that video too, I showed you guys that I had earlier this year in April canned a bunch of strawberries that I'd gotten on sale this spring at Costco. Anyway, so I grabbed 2 quarts of whole strawberries. I brought them up, and I used the immersion blender, and I blended those up. I separated out about maybe a third of the salsa and added those to it and blended it all up. So I made kind of like a sweet, spicy salsa. And I think I added just a teensy bit too many strawberries. I think it's slightly more sweet than I would like it. It definitely still has an after kick, but not as much as I would like. But I really do like it. It was kind of a happy accident that it worked out that way then. But yeah, because we have a local shop here, and they sell a lot of canned goods, homemade canned goods and stuff. And one of their salsas that I love that they make is like either Christmas salsa, then they got like a cherry sauce, and I really like that sweet spicy. So anyway, this was a happy accident, so I might do it again, next year or whatever. You will see too, I'm going to point out because I did not realize that I was going to be using these for all of my pints, I did reuse lids. Okay, I've been starting to get a little bit braver about doing that, except maybe for one of them I think I had. And I have not had a problem as of yet. I will keep you updated if, later down the road I have a bad seal or something. But yeah, I have not had an issue. So, yeah, I'm trying it out on things that I'm not as worried about losing, that maybe didn't necessarily cost me as much, except for my time in canning them, which you never want to lose anything, but if you have to, I'd rather it be, something like this instead of like meat, for example, or, something that just costs a little bit more money. So, but anyway, so far that's going well. And I'm excited about it because the more comfortable I get with it, the more I might start to use it. Because, yeah, it does save money. And it's like, if you can do it, then why not, I mean, you don't want to be stupid, but the other side of it's sealing and staying, it's sealing. So there you go. Okay, so let me get up. One last thing that I did this last couple weeks was another salsa. I canned my first batch of tomatillas. And so this is salsa verde, and it is a roasted salsa verde. So I took my tomatillas, peeled the husks off. I'm sorry, I run out of breath a little bit when I'm talking. I get tired. I halved them, and then onions and some peppers, some jalapenos, and I stuck them in the oven, roasted them before I went ahead and used the immersion blender and added some other things. I also put garlic, roasted some garlic as well in there. And I really was happy with how this turned out. It's the first time I've canned salsa verde. I've made it before, but I've never canned it, so I'm excited to have that. And also was surprised. I was really worried. You know how tomatillas, if you're familiar with them, I just found one can of beans that didn't seal. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, they kind of go everywhere, and there's so many of them. I was worried I was gonna have a plethora of them, and then not be able to use them, or not to be able to use them all. Like, I thought I was gonna have so much salsa verde and I didn't know what to do with. But there was so many of them. It actually takes quite a bit of tomatillas to make even just these 4 pints. So, yeah, I don't know. But, so I was happy with that. I'm glad that I'm at least gonna probably do one more batch of tomatillas, maybe 2. We'll see. I need to look into them. I'm actually not that familiar with tomatillas outside of making salsa verde with them. So I'm gonna do some looking and see if there is, something else I can do with them, or another, way in which they will work. But yeah, look at this. I was looking up here and I glanced and I saw, ooh, look at what's that. Remember I talked about how you can always tell if a can or a jar is going bad, like it didn't seal properly. So again, another safeguard against, just don't be worried about, so much how things are, if worried about making yourself sick or your family sick. You can tell. And this is a big indication too. But look at this. We were just literally talking about these lids. Here's one. I reused this lid. Maybe it didn't have a good seal, so I don't know. It's the first one that's failed me. But we'll see. This is obviously no good. I will take this up and give this to the chickens. But again, I used it on beans because we already have quite a few beans and I wasn't worried about losing one. I'm just gonna give this one to the chickens. But sometimes you gotta try things, I don't ever wanna be afraid to try something just because, I don't know, someone says it won't work or whatever. Discover things for yourself sometimes is a good thing. So I don't know if this completely discourages me from reusing lids, but I'm just gonna keep an eye on it this year. I haven't done it a lot, like I said, just with some things, so I think I'll just see how it goes. It could have just been a defective lid too, or I see it has a little bit of a ding in it, right? Can't see. The lid has a ding in it right there. So yeah, maybe I just need to be careful which lids I reuse. Anyway, last thing that we're up to, I want to show you. Put this jar down. Is this, which you can't really. So our chickens have started laying a lot better. Here, I'm going to turn you around. I feel like sometimes when I have you pointed at something and you're just talking to the jars or something, so I'll turn you around. But yeah, our chickens have started laying starting to be more consistent. We're at least getting an egg a day. Most have been getting 2 the last several days, which if it's just Nathan and I right now, I mean, they accumulate pretty fast. So one thing we knew that I wanted to do going into, getting chickens and in this was I wanted to start water glassing eggs. If you're not familiar with water glassing, it's actually a pretty old-fashioned way of preserving eggs throughout the winter when they didn't have refrigeration. It's starting to get a little bit more popular again. I've seen some videos and things pop up. But basically, I mean, if you're familiar with chickens, they lay really well until it gets to around the winter time. And the reason for that is the light. There's less light in the winter, and the chickens need that natural light to lay for their cycle. So, I mean, you can put, a light in there, which we do, and we do it not only to maybe aid egg production, which some people don't want to do that because they figure, if that's naturally how they are, then maybe they need that rest, which, that makes sense. But the other reason we have a light in there is just for a heat source for them too, especially since we don't have a huge coop. But either way, both Nathan and I had chickens growing up. Well, I had them for about 4 or 5 years and I was already older, but they still don't lay the same, even if you do put a light in there. They always slow down. That being said, because you tend to get a surplus, in the spring and summer, so there's a lot of different ways to preserve those eggs, and some people freeze dry them, some people dehydrate them, which freeze dryer would be like next on my list of dreams if I ever got one. But they're expensive, so I don't know, maybe little by little we'll save up and see if it's actually, I've been starting to look into it and see if it's actually worth the cost for us. Maybe right now it's not, but maybe later down the road, when we have more children, we have a bigger family, even if we had more things to preserve, I don't know. But again, it's going off topic. So how you water glass eggs is you take, it's called, hydrated lime. Okay, specifically hydrated lime. So not just limestone that would be ground up, but it needs to be hydrated lime. And it can be limestone that's grinded out. Then if I understand correctly, they put water into it, which makes it hydrated, and then it dries again. And it can be limestone. It can be oyster shells. And there's another thing. Even dried ground up bones, I think, sometimes can have lime in them. But regardless of what it is, that's what you use. And you pour a ratio of that lime into water, and you put your eggs that you have not cleaned yet, and that's important. So when chickens lay an egg, it's so neat. I mean, how God has made animals and all our bodies to do certain things. Like it has a coating on it, and you'd have to look it up to really, I can't explain it to you what it is and what exactly that coating does. All I know that is, if you take an egg and you bring it in directly from your coop, if you wash that egg, you need to then start refrigerating it. Because you've washed that coating off, and you've also, because I think there's very minuscule, like if you put it under a microscope, you would see little pores in an egg. And I believe, and I could be wrong, so please fact check me on this, that one of the things that coating does is it fills in those pores, so that nothing else can get into the egg, so it doesn't break down. So if you don't wash the egg, we leave it out on the counter for a really long time. I mean, when I say really long, again, I don't know times exactly. I mean, you can even do it up to for a couple months, I think. Ours never are, but look into that. Don't take my word for that. Look into that. But for a little while, they're fine. But it's when you wash them is when you have to start refrigerating them. That's when I'll put the date on them and stick them in the fridge. So it's those eggs that are unwashed that you water glass. And the reason for that is so, again, that the coating on there, so you don't wash that off, and so the pores aren't open, if you can put it that way. And then because when they are open, then you stick them in the lime water, they're going to take on that lime a bit. This is what I understand from what the research I've been doing, and the lime will start to penetrate the egg. And I don't think it's necessarily harmful for you. I mean, it's not probably good for you, but it's not going to kill you. But then the egg itself is going to taste really bad. So you want those unwashed eggs, but you also want the ones that are clean. That if you, not to gross people out, but if you're familiar with chickens at all, when they lay an egg, sometimes they do their business as well at the same time. So an egg can get kind of dirty, or even if the coop, it's been raining, their feet are wet, keeping a coop clean can sometimes be challenging in especially winter months, anytime it's, or spring, when it's muddy, whatever, it's good to have new bedding and stuff in there to keep that clean. But anyway, so you can get eggs that are just super caked, either with dirt or, their business. And obviously we wash them, but those aren't eggs you want to use in water glassing because, one, you'd have to wash them. So anyway, so you just literally put those unwashed, clean eggs into the jar filled with the ratio of lime to water, and you keep that solution above the eggs. You want them to sit completely under it, and they will last, I've heard, up to 2 years. I don't think we'd actually have eggs up to 2 years, not even a year, because my biggest goal right now is to have our own eggs through the winter, at least partially. We got a late start with our chickens because they just started laying this year. So this year we might not have enough to obviously get us through the winter, but that's a hope for like next year, potentially. So yeah, so that's another thing I want to do. So my husband stopped and got at Menards, he got this 50-pound bag of lime. And you only need, I think it's, if I remember the ratio, again, look it up, 8 ounces, no. Yeah, maybe it's 8 ounces of lime to 1 quart of water. So it's really not that much. And this is 50 pounds. It might not even honestly be that much lime, but look it up, the ratio. I don't have the paper in front of me. So the point is that this bag of lime is going to last us forever. And it was only $13, So that's a great investment. I mean, we'll have it here for a super, super long time. I can't even imagine getting to the bottom of it. Maybe someday we will. But yeah, those are I think the big things that I've been up to this last couple weeks. Aside from just, relaxing a bit in between things and trying to keep our baby healthy. Starting to fight off a little bit of a cold here too. So not anticipating getting tons done this week, but just doing what I can. And thankful for help that I do get. And my husband does so much. He did so much this morning for me. He always does so much, but thankful for that too. So yeah, I think that's it. If I think of anything else, I'll add on to this video. But until next time, hope you guys have a good homemaking week or month or however long it is till we meet again.